welcome back to the Forensic Detailing channel, guys. Do not forget to subscribe. So today we're talking about cleaning your alloy wheels. First of all, how often should you clean your alloy wheels? Well, I think really you should be cleaning your car at least once every 2 weeks if you care about it. The longer you leave it over 2 weeks, the more you use it, the dirtier it gets, the more work it is to keep it clean, potentially the stronger chemicals you need to clean it. My car's done about 1,000 miles. It's been about 3, maybe even 4 weeks since I've washed it, which is a bit naughty. So I just need to intensively clean the wheels a little bit stronger than I normally would. And this is a good process, but you could do this every single time if you want. When they're like this, you probably need to spend at least 5 minutes an alloy really to get them clean. And in my opinion, you could do it a little bit quicker, but if you rush, you risk missing bits. That's the first thing. The longer you leave it, the more brake dust builds up, and it can get to the point where even this method won't get you back to that clean finish, and you might need to take the alloys off and use stronger chemicals like an acid or more scrubbing. You get the idea. So this is a moderate kind of repeatable way of cleaning your alloy wheels. Step 1, I think it's always a good idea to pre-wash your car and just get your pre-wash onto a dry car, flood it all out into the arches, flood it into the barrels, and get that chemical in there. And we're using Bilt Hamber Touchless because it has some cleaning power. If we're flooding a mild pH neutral kind of soap on the car as pre-wash, it's not going to really have much effect, if any, on the alloy wheels, and it's going to have less effect on the dirt film. So a chemical which helps clean it is what I use as a pre-wash. It goes on, you leave it for a few minutes, typically 3 or 4 minutes is enough. If you're leaving it longer, you're okay in the winter. In the summer, just keep an eye on it drying. Then what you can do is blast off that pre-wash and blast out your alloy wheels. Now, when you blast off your alloy wheels, it's quite good to have some extension bars on your pressure washer so you can get into the arches. And I keep 2. I keep one with a slight kink on it and one with a 90-degree kink on it, which is useful for undercarriage as well. Keeping on top of that and having it to hand, and it doesn't take up much space. But get this thing into the arch, deep in there, and just twirl it all around and try and get a bit closer, and you can feel the push. You don't want to be right up to everything, but you just want to get this in there. If you're just using it on the gun, you can't get the gun inside the arch, so a little extension arm is a really good tip. And as well, you can get the extension arm into the barrel, twirling it round, and you're just getting lots of free cleaning without burning lots of horsepower and getting knackered. This pressure washer push and the chemical will strip off all of the loose dirt. You know, let's say 90% of the stuff, maybe less with alloy wheels, but it will get off a good amount of dirt, and that means when you're scrubbing there's less kind of abrasive heavy duty brake dust slurry that you're kind of scrubbing around. So yeah, that's always a good principle. Now, after you've pre-washed your alloy wheel or your car, in this particular video we are spritzing on some fallout remover, and we're trying to put this into the barrel. You can start at the top because it's all going to run down if you like. You know, you start spray at the top of the barrel, work your way around the barrel, try and keep it off the brake discs, but you're going to get overspray on the brake discs, it's just part of it. Once you've put it around the barrel, then come at an angle and just spray down or spray up. If you spray through, you're going to just cover the barrel and get some of the fallout remover on the face of the alloy wheel as well. As soon as that fallout remover hits, that fallout remover is Gyeon Iron. I've got 5 litres of Bilt Hamber Corosol as well. Whatever fallout remover you've got, these aren't dedicated wheel cleaner ones either. These are more just fallout removers, but they're going to do the same thing really. It's the fallout element that I want. As soon as that goes on, it will start reacting and start turning purple. As soon as you've got a noticeable amount of purple on there, your reaction's going, it's working. You can then, don't put it on hot discs after you've just dried it, and be careful using it in the summer. But with fallout remover, just don't let it dry. Give it, you know, at least 2 minutes, I'd say. to start doing its reaction. Then you can cover it in foam. You can refoam it with some more Bilt Hamber touchless, or you could foam it with an alkaline wheel cleaner you got in a pump sprayer, or you could spray on APC all over it as well. That's Surfex HD at 1 to 10. Whatever chemical you use, it's, you know, just something with a bit of punch really, and it's just going to foam up and clean. But the fallout removers are a bit heavier. Then what I'll typically do, if I can remember to get the order correct, because sometimes you don't, is I'll go in and scrub out the wheel arches and just use this brush. I wish it was a little bit longer, but it's a really good brush for doing your wheel arches and just scrubbing the stuff that pre-washing can't get off. And also try and get under that rim of the wheel arch when you're doing that. Just do that every single time, because that's the bit that, when the dirt builds up in there and it's not cleaned off, it will corrode out your arches. It's one of the most common ways for a car to start, for the paintwork or the panels to start corroding, is mud sticking to the arches. So always think when you're doing a wheel clean, that's a good opportunity to just get in there and do that, or even get a little brush in there and do it. After you've done that, I'll take the EZ brush, which I've been using for about 7 or 8 years, and it's still going. I'll be using this in the next 7 to 8 years. So this brush is a nylon brush. The reason I reach for it is because you can always use it. There's other brushes that you might like microfiber ones are softer, microfiber on a stick, wheel woolies on a stick. They're all good when you can get them in to your alloys, but you can't on all alloys. I couldn't on mine. So this always works. This is a little bit more aggressive. You can just tell the bristles will just shift a little bit more than a soft microfiber. You might have a different requirement. You might be working on carbon fiber alloys on a Ferrari and you want microfiber. To me, I just want it, this is ideal, I want to get it clean. The key thing with this brush is when you put it into the barrel, don't push down, like really force this brush into the barrel, because you'll bend it. Once you start bending it, you've got to bend it back and you start weakening the iron in it. What you do is you let the scrubbing motion in and out do the work, and you just scrub. You can give it a little bit of a twist if you like, and you just scrub in an arc, and you just do it a few times, because if you just do it once or you don't scrub reasonably vigorously, you're going to miss bits, especially behind the spokes and near the rim. So just keep going in, out, 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 and you should see loads of dirt coming off and melting. You should see the clean barrel underneath. That's a good sign. If you're doing that and it's not a clean barrel and the brake dust isn't coming off, this method is not aggressive enough, and you need to consider using a wheel acid or something like that if it's gone too long. When you're pulling the brush in and out, use that as an opportunity to get around the spoke so you don't miss any bits. So if you just keep it flat down here and you've got a spoke up here, you're just missing an opportunity to clean a bit while you're there. So there's a good little tip. Get the barrel clean is what I'd suggest. I do it first. Some people tell me that you shouldn't do the barrels first. There's 1,000,001 different ways and orders. It's less about the order and more about whenever you've got a brush in your hand or something in your hand that you're thorough. That's the most important thing, for me anyway. Once I've dug out all of the barrel, I will then take typically this brush and I'll go over the face. And you can do the wheel with this, but this is, the Detail Factory brush is a slightly better wheel brush than this one. We've got to have two going dual wheeled. So I've got 2 little brushes there, one for the wheel that you can spritz a bit, for the tyre that you can spritz a bit of APC on, scrub the tyre out, one for the face. I could do all that. I've also got a hog's hair and one of these to get into the lug nut areas that just tend to need a little bit more poking. You can do all that and still find you've missed bits of dirt around the rim where the brushes aren't always good. So I keep this, I've got loads of these, and I keep it in here, and I don't know, it just gives you a different type of clean. So sometimes I'll grab that and just quickly at the end go round. Sometimes I don't. When I don't, and the car's back in the garage, I may well see a little bit of dirt that I've missed. Those are all the brushes. You could put chemical in your bucket, or you could just use water and put the chemical onto the wheel. It doesn't really matter. It's completely up to you. Might be good to put a bit of chemical in there. So fallout remover and APC. Once I've scrubbed the hell out of all of that, I've done all the contact cleaning, I'll go back in and rinse all of that dirt and stuff out of the alloy wheel. Okay, just blast it all out with a pressure washer. After that, you can do it at the end of the drying phase, but we're just talking about it for this video. After that, I'll spritz on some wet coat, Gyeon Wet Coat, which is a self-cleaning properties is the main reason I use it. So it complements a ceramic coating more than like a wax emulsion or something like that. You know, it hardens off, I believe. And I just spritz some on to my wheels are coated and then rinse it off, and it's all beady, and I feel like I've got fresh protection. And I've done that in, you know, 5 squirts or 2 squirts. Someone's going to say I've used too much. And some rinsing with no calories burnt. So it's a really easy, cheap way of just keeping those wheels protected, and hopefully whatever forms and sets in the barrel just helps provide a layer between the finish and the dirt and makes it easier to clean. And I think this routine generally does seem to work. The danger for me is I go to clean them and I can't get them clean doing this, and then I've really neglected it. And I haven't had that yet with this car. Periodically, once a year, the wheels will come off and you get to see how clean it really is. But the barrels look to me like pretty good. So that's a sensible thing. There's an optional product, Atomac, that you can use at the end, really. Some people put in the comments they use it before they start anything, which is interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So in other words, before you even start washing, you could spray some Atomac. It's a rust inhibitor over all of the brake discs and some of the metal components in there. I don't tend to do that. I tend to do it after you know, I've cleaned it and protected and everything like that, maybe even dried, mist it on. It's a bit of a product you've got to have faith in. It can't stop like heavy corrosion forming, like or flashing of brake discs. It's not powerful enough to stop that. It's a general corrosion inhibitor that you could use on parts of your car that are prone to corrosion, and that's how I use it. And I feel there may be some long-term benefit to it. I just don't know. It's impossible to measure. My car's already quite old and got little bits of seal corrosion and stuff formed already, so it's not going to help you with that. It's not a rust curing product, but hopefully by using it, it just keeps it under control a little bit. That's my thoughts, but optional. Then you're pretty much done. You can carry on. In the summer, you need to be careful with chemicals drying, so you can change your process by just pre-washing out all 4 wheels, because you know it's going to take you about 5 minutes a wheel. That's 20 minutes. If you pre-wash the entire car, by the time you've done 2 wheels, your pre-wash is going to be drying on the car, which is a faux pas. So in summer, you spray over your pre-wash or your cleaner. You could have a pump cleaner, alkaline wheel cleaner, whatever. Spray it over there. Over all 4, then by the time you've done all 4, go back to the first one, jet wash out, and then follow this process. This process is pretty good. Do you need a beast of a pressure washer? Well, I use a little tiny one, but it's a little bit of a beast. That's a P55 Ava. I've been using it for about 3 or 4 years. It's still going strong. One day it's going to blow up. When it does, I'll let you know. But that's got some kick. How do you know when you're pressure washing how close you should get to the surface? Depends on the surface. You know, an alloy wheel you can generally get a lot closer because the paint on it's rock hard. You start to get a feel for the push and where you should be, like with how close you are to the panel. If you're doing paint work, generally a good gap, so you just feel that you've got a little bit of push on the paintwork, but you do not want to be going up like this close really, and like jet washing really close and using that real high pressure. General rule, if you hold a pressure washer and spray it your hand, don't do this. Someone's going to go mad. There's always a health and safety person. But if you did it, and like you were this distance and the gun's where my knuckle is, you'd feel a sort of hit on your hand. As you start to get closer and it starts to hurt your skin and feel like it's there, that's kind of where you want to be for the car. If it's cutting your skin and ripping into you, it's going to rip into paint. So a good 2 foot's probably a good rule of thumb, but then you get some pressure washers that have got no power and you do need to get a little bit closer. So you have to decide for yourself how close to get with the pressure washer. I've covered most of the brushes. That's a really important brush for dirty alloys, stubby brush or atlasta brush. If you search for that, you'll find them. When you've finished doing all of this, clean out your bucket. The bottom of your bucket for wheels will have a layer of like black scum in the bottom that binds to the bottom of the bucket. So after you've rinsed out all your tools, I get the atlasta brush and I go in and I just clean out the scum from the bottom of the bucket and then blast all the bucket out and then bring that back in and leave it, and that's it. None of these tools are spotlessly clean. Even my little woolly synthetic wool thing, it doesn't really go in the wash, because some people say to me in the comments like they won't put any dirty media on a car. Like when they wash, they'll have 10 wash mitts. You know, there's guys out there that do this, and they go and wash one section of the car and they discard the wash mitt and then go to the next section and wash it, because they won't put dirty wash media on the car. But if you're discarding it because you've just wiped dirt over it, the dirt's on the car anyway. So my rule of thumb is I wash my wash mitts and stuff after I've washed my car. I've used the dib dab, that'll get washed. But for wheels, there's so much dirt on the car. That whole philosophy for me is borderline neurotic, and it just doesn't work for me. But there's no right or wrong with any of this. If it's got to be that way for you, if that's got to be clean. If you've got to have 10 of them, then go for that. You know, whatever you want to do, really. Everyone is different. Nowadays, for me, I want to just keep my car clean. I want to enjoy keeping it clean. I think the more into it you get, the more the pitfall is you get the car so clean you never want to take it out. And I'm trying to get away from that kind of way of thinking, because the rest of the world don't work like that. It's brutal out there. The road's full of holes. There's traffic everywhere you go. You know, so I'm getting to that stage where I'm happy with just the sort of half clean car that I enjoy maintaining. That's just the way I'm going. But I do enjoy this process, and I enjoy having the right tools to hand and the right chemicals, and knowing which chemicals to kind of pick for the job at hand. And that's part of the fun of detailing, and it's going to be different for everyone. So let me know if you think this routine wheel cleaning procedure is a load of old nonsense. Let me know why. I'll happily listen and try and absorb that. It may well be nonsense. Otherwise, just let me know how you do it and how you see it differently, because it does give me ideas. Actually, most of it I can't adopt. If it's too extreme, I can't adopt it. It needs to be nice and simple and thorough. My golden rule is most of this is just down to you doing it properly. If you don't have a lot of time to do it and you've got to wash your car in half an hour, there's so many jobs you've got to do, as well as vacuum out the interior. You're going to be turbo cleaning, and no matter how good you are, if you're turbo cleaning, your results aren't going to be as good. So if you're going in and you know you want to get your wheels really clean, the golden rule is just spend a little bit more time scrubbing. That's it. It's no magic. It's like you just got to spend a bit more time and be a bit more thorough, and that will get you there. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Doug.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I when